I'm Cristina Mateescu with the news. First, the headlines. EU leaders agreed on a roadmap to contain energy prices at a Brussels summit also attended by Romania's President Klaus Iohannis. Fresh protests are taking place in Bucharest over the authorities' lack of decisive action with respect to major issues affecting people's living standards. And the Romanian Foreign Ministry warns Romanian citizens in Italy that air traffic controllers are on a national strike. European Union leaders agreed during a meeting in Brussels on a roadmap to contain energy prices amid the war in Ukraine and the sanctions against Russia. According to the French President Emmanuel Macron, the mechanisms envisaged could be implemented at the end of October, beginning of November. He said EU leaders sent a very clear signal to the markets of our determination and our unity. EU heads of state and government called on the European Commission to submit concrete solutions for a set of measures, including interventions to address the volatility of gas prices. The 27 EU member states agreed to support joint gas purchases on a voluntary basis, but enough to hit at least 15% this winter. EU leaders also called for negotiations to be stepped up with viable producing countries such as Norway and the United States. Romania is represented at the EU summit by President Klaus Iohannis. Romanian trade unions affiliated to Cartel Alpha are again protesting in Bucharest outside the presidential palace, following Thursday's protests in front of the Labour Ministry and government headquarters. The protest is part of a series of rallies held this week in several cities around the country. Protesters are unhappy with the authorities' lack of decisive action when it comes to major issues that affect people's living standards. They are demanding a rise in pensions and salaries, income protection against inflation, price controls and taxation of excessive profits, and the unblocking of collective negotiations. The Foreign Ministry in Bucharest warns Romanian nationals currently in Italy that air traffic controllers are on a national strike today. According to the Italian authorities, the strike will affect a number of flights to and from Italy and some public transport services. The Romanian Foreign Ministry is reminding citizens in difficulty that they can request assistance from their country's general consulates in Rome, Milan, Bologna, Turin, Trieste, Bari and Catania. Almost 60% of Romanians say their financial situation has worsened compared with last year, according to a quarterly financial barometer. This level has increased by 10% from previous quarters. The prospects for the future are darker than in the first half of the year, with 55% of respondents expecting their situation to further deteriorate in the future, compared with 40% who held this view in the first half of the year. The main reasons mentioned for the deterioration of the financial situation are the prices of utilities like gas and electricity and higher cost of food and fuel. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused invading Russian troops of planting mines at a hydroelectric dam in the Kherson region of southern Ukraine, which is under Russia's control. 4 people were killed in Kherson after Ukrainian rocket artillery hit a ferry crossing. The pro-Moscow authorities in the region, installed by the Russian army, this week said they are planning to evacuate 50 to 60,000 people in the coming days, following an intensification in the Ukrainian counter-offensive. Former British Chancellor Rishi Sunak is tipped as favourite to take over the leadership of the Conservative Party and the post of Prime Minister after Liz Truss resigned on Thursday. Truss resigned after her decisions in the last few weeks led to a turmoil on the financial market, causing her party to slide further in opinion polls. According to Radio Romania's correspondent in London, the tensions created in such a short time shocked the political world and British society. Truss's economic policies led to a collapse of the national currency and an explosion of interest rates ahead of winter and in the context of a profound economic crisis. A new Prime Minister is expected to be designated next week. And now a quick look at the weather. It's nice but cold around the country, with highs between 11 and 20 degrees Celsius today and a noon reading in Bucharest of 12 degrees. And that was the news.